Hey Rob, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, Ken. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, sir. I'm excited to be here to show you the latest and greatest, the best diagnostic service tool available in the market. Uh, just a few things before we get started. You know, Norgon's been in business writing software for the OEMs for over 20 years. We're probably the pros in the industry as it comes to it. As you can see, I got the Jpro screen up here. It's very easy to navigate. All your navigation takes place across the top of the screen. Now, I want to point out this vehicle history right here because every time you plug a Jpro into a piece of equipment, it logs that interaction and saves it as a log file so you can always go back and see what you've done, your PMs, your vehicle inspections, so on and so forth. And you can also search it by whether it's a date or faults or the VIN number or a unit number that you've assigned it. So again, you can always go back and see what you have done. The first thing we do is we come over here and we hit the connect button. And this screen pops up showing you all your different connections. Right here is the user's guide. So it's almost 400 pages, but it's a searchable PDF. So if you don't know whether the JPro software actually covers what it is that you're connecting to or what is available that you can do, you can search it here. We update our software quarterly, so we add a whole bunch to our software each time. So it's always good to go to the What's New tab and kind of see what new tools you have at your fingertips and training videos. So the new guys that come on that aren't quite savvy with diagnostic tools or JPro at all, there's training videos available right here. There's 13 of them. They're 3-4 minutes long, and it just gives the guys a good overview of how to navigate JPro. Do you have any questions on that so far?
Oh, that looks good. But one question on the when you went to that vehicle history and you showed those log files,
Sure.
can I email those?
Absolutely. You want me to go back and show you how?
Well, yeah. The reason I asked, Ken, is I've got multiple shops that the trucks they don't always stay at the same shop. So I'm thinking if they had an issue, say April 1st, now this is April 8th, and they're in Houston instead of Dallas, I could send them that file to show what we did April 1st, right?
Absolutely. All you do
Cool.
is highlight the connection, just as I've done here, and then drop down here to the email. Now you do have to have your email on the JPro computer or whatever computer you're using, whether it's mine or yours or whatever. You have to have your email set up on there. And then you just hit this email link right here, and it's going to send it to whoever you address it to.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, back to the connections here. Obviously, here are your heavy duty connectors. 90% of the time, you're going to be using either the J1939 or the Mac Volvo OBD. But JPro also covers your medium and light duty trucks as well. So you have a Ford and a GM. And then the gray one here, that's Sprinter, Isuzu, Hino, so on and so forth in the medium duty for your service trucks. Also have a trailer connection for our trailer adapter kit. The software is already on board and it comes with the JPro system. There is a connector kit that needs to be bought to actually go out there and just diagnose trailers all on their own. Every JPro software has these truck simulators. This allows you to put the tool in the technician's hand without being connected to the truck, but yet have all the ability of the JPro software as if you were connected to the truck. So it's a great tool for them guys to get in there, figure out how to clear faults, and so on and so forth. Now there's three trucks here. This 2014 Freightliner, which I know has a after treatment system issue. It's probably the gorilla in the room. Does have Wabco brake system on it. Now we are OEM for Bendix. So the bottom two trucks here, this one is just a 2018 Volvo with some common ABS faults, just a recording of a truck that we had. This truck, however, you can actually build your own brake system. And once you've built that brake system, it will populate with every fault that could be on that brake system. So you can go in there and practice on how to diagnose and clear those faults and replace components and so on and so forth. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool.
All right, so because we mentioned a little earlier about the after treatment and what a pain in the rear it is, I'm gonna go ahead and select this truck. Is that all right?
Yes, sir. That'll be fine.
Okay. So once you've clicked the connect button, it takes about a minute and a half for Jpro to download over 4,800 data points on a vehicle. As you can see over here, instantly I'm talking with the body control module, and I'm getting the VIN number and what year it is and what model it is, so on and so forth. Obviously, because it's a virtual truck, we have this virtual key here. Because when we clear faults, we got to cycle the key a lot of times, right?
Yep.
Right. So JPro is by default set up. It's always going to ask you for that VIN number or the unit number. This allows you to track the vehicle. And yes, it does ask you for that unit number every time because, as trucks age through the fleet, instead of it being a over the road truck, maybe more of a local truck, and we assign a different number to it. Does that make sense?
Yep. I'm with you.
Okay. Okay, and pretty much instantly you start getting the faults, and as the connection continues, sometimes more faults will pop up, sometimes some will go away. But as you notice, you get the status of the fault. Is it permanent, cycling, active, inactive, what component it's on, the ASE description. So once in a while, you'll have guys that say, "Hey, your JPro software, the definitions aren't the OE definitions." Well, there's a reason for that, and that's because the OE definitions tend to be a little vague, right? So the ASE definitions give us a broader understanding. Now, when this screen pops up, this means that the connection's done. Okay, we've got all the information that we need, and you can jump right into beginning diagnostics. This is going to take you to fault guidance. As soon as you hit that button right there, it's going to take you right into discovering your faults. But I'm not going to do that because I'm going to show you what JPro does. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This button right here is grayed out because this is a virtual truck. But get this, you can actually put JPro in record mode and take it out on a 20-minute test drive and then come back and watch that test drive as it happens. So as it is now with your current diagnostic software, it takes 2 men. You got to have one guy driving, the other guy looking at the computer, and he's bouncing around, and he thought he saw something, but he wasn't really sure. With this, you can cut your man hours in half, and the hard documentation is already there. Isn't that valuable?
Beautiful.
Pretty cool. Some other things that we allow you to do right here on our main dashboard is you can change the road speed, cruise speed, idle shutdown. You can even set PTO parameters. Drivers, they like to mash the gas all the way to the floor when they're running that PTO, but the PTO pump is designed for 900 RPMs. So this will save you PTO. You can also come over here and just kind of look at your consumable fluids at a glance. But watch this, Rob. This is really cool. This is all the computers on the truck that we're actually talking to right now. And watch what happens. I click on the engine, and not only does my dashboard change, giving me pertinent engine data only, but I only see the faults for that component as well. So this is what I mean when I say this is one click, one screen, the whole vehicle. Because look here, I click on the brake system. Again, my dashboard changes, and I only have that component. Normal diagnostic software, I'd have to open individual softwares connecting to the truck each time. With JPro, it's a seamless transaction. I'm going to go back to the engine here. Look here. So in these older trucks like this one, we may have an engine transplant situation. And so here we can actually order parts off the engine serial number instead of the VIN number. You call the parts house and the kid behind the desk says, "Hey man, what's the last 6 or 8 of the VIN and what year is it?" Right? So now instead of getting a Caterpillar water pump for a Cummins, we can order our parts directly off the engine serial number. Pretty cool.
Yeah, we never get wrong parts sent to us ever. Not. Yeah.
Sarcasm is always good.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Another thing with Cummins is Cummins had a real issue with software programming in the ECM. So there was always a question of what software version is my ECM running on? That is listed right here.
Very cool.
Okay. All right. What if I told you you could digitize all your PMs and vehicle inspections?
Well, that'd be cool. I mean, we've got a form that we use now, and the guys seem to, get it done in a timely manner, and it goes up to the office. They put it in that job jacket, for that vehicle. But
Sure.
what do you got here?
Well, this is our PM form. Okay, it's formatted by the FMSCSA, the United States DOT. What this does is it time and date stamps it. It puts the truck information in here for you. Okay, so we don't get dyslexic and have a VIN number wrong, a unit number wrong, the mileage wrong. It automatically encapsulates all that information. But look here, A service, B service, C service, a trailer inspection, and a DOT inspection, all on board here. So
Wow.
it's like this, Rob. When God forbid an accident occurs, and the DOT comes in and they do a post-accident audit. One of the big things they want to look at is your maintenance records. Oftentimes, when your maintenance records are digitized like this, they're not all fingerprinted up with grease and so on. They move right on to the next thing. Okay, because look, not only can I fill out this PM form here,
Mhm.
but I can document things like brake wear, tread wear. I can leave an area for comments that, hey, when I did this PM, I found this marker light out. This is the light that I replaced it with. Even put the part number there. So when you're billing it out on your RO, you also can do a little bit of inventory control. Now you can save this to the Jpro, or you can print it as a hard copy, or you can print it as a PDF and email it up to the office just like you've been doing. But I also give you a vehicle inspection. So here again, you can do a tractor, trailer, box truck, bus, pickup, whatever it is. It's going to time and date it. It's going to put that vehicle information in here. So we use this as like when the drivers do their daily inspections and we want to digitize it for our records. We can upload it here. You get a checklist. Say the guy says, yeah, you know what? The steer tires are cupping. So, you can check this box and then leave a note over here that the steer tires are cupping. But you can also do a visual inspection, Rob. So say we hired a new driver and we put him in this truck and it's got a little damage here and maybe got a scrape right here. We can document those things and then leave our notes down here. We can turn the truck 360 degrees. But we can also take pictures of the truck and upload them onto the form. So you'll have the generic truck here, and you'll also have your hard copy pictures of exactly what it is that you're pointing out. So the guy can't come back next weekend and say, hey, that scratch on that fender was already there. And you can go, no, it wasn't because we did this, and there's no scratch on the fender here. And here's your signature saying that you took that truck in that condition. So it's kind of a CYA. I have customers that do this when they assign vehicles. I also have them digitize that daily driver log as well. Any questions?
No, that's really cool.
Yeah, anytime you can cover your rear, it's you're in great shape.
Yeah, I do have a question actually on
Yeah.
on the upload of the picture. Can
Mhm.
you do multiple pictures or just one picture?
No, you can put I think as many as you want on there. I guess I've never put any more than 4 or 5 on there. But yeah, it's
Oh, that'd
full
be
color.
enough. Yeah, that'd be enough. That'd be enough.
Yep.
Front, left side, right side, rear. That'd be really
Yep.
good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, probably the heavy hitter that you're going to use in these inspections is going to be this fleet diagnostic report. So every time you take a truck to a dealership, the first thing they do is they plug it in. They charge you $150 or more to do it just to generate this. Now, you'll have the capability of generating this report within a minute and a half. You notice there's the connection date and the print date. So if you went back into the history, this connection date and time may be different than the printed dated time.
Ken,
Again,
I don't have a picture of the one you're showing.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. Hang on just a second. I'll
Okay.
get it to you.
Okay.
My bad. Just give me a second here. Teams, you know how it is. Let's see if you can see that one.
Got
You
it.
got that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
So obviously we could leave Jpro here, it does carry some weight, or we can put your company logo here, right? Make it totally yours. Again, the connection date and the print date is what I was talking about right here. The
Mhm.
truck information, including the unit number, I assigned it here. As I scroll down then, here are all the systems and components that we talked to. Okay, the component, the description, the serial number again, the software versions as we talked about, and actually what network it even talked to. So the brakes, they were talking on two different networks, the old 1587 and the J1939. Some of those systems obviously are redundant that way. As we continue to scroll down, this is what gets the girls in the office all excited, because here is your fleet management data. So everything from fuel economy to engine hours, idle time, uh, total engine run time, the health of the after treatment system. Is there a discrepancy between the engine odometer and the instrument cluster? Even what indicator lights were on at the time of that connection. And then as we continue to scroll down, we get our faults. So it tells us what faults are present and what needs to be taken care of. So this gives us the opportunity to look exactly what's wrong with the truck, evaluate whether we have the equipment, manpower, and so on to fix it here, or are we going to send it to a dealer? We're going to call a mobile tech. So imperative information to have at your fingertips when deciding how it is that we're going to address an issue, right, Rob?
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Imagine this. You plug your Jpro into that truck and you decide, yeah, I don't think we're going to go ahead and tackle that here, but you already know what's wrong with it before you send it to the dealer. All right.
Yep.
Instead of relying on them telling you, right?
Right.
Okay. And I got to reshare again, I think. Hang on just a second. Back to Jpro. Okay, so we got these faults that we got to address up here, right?
Yep.
So what Norgon gives you is fault guidance. This gives you step by step on what it is that we need to do to actually diagnose that problem. Can you see that screen all right?
I see it.
I'm going to make it bigger just so it's a little easier for us to see. As you see down here, these are the faults that we have. Here's that after treatment fault. And I click on that. And the first thing Jpro does is it's going to give you an overview. It's going to tell you what caused the fault, what conditions have to be present for the fault to be cleared, what effect it has on the vehicle. It's going to give you circuit descriptions and component locations, conditions for running diagnostics, so on and so forth, step by step, and exact understanding what this fault is. But Rob, have you ever called the dealership and asked for a wiring diagram?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What a nightmare that is.
Yeah, they don't like giving them up, do they?
No, if I do get it, it's 2 or 3 weeks later and it's the wrong one.
Right. Well, then you're just back to trusting Google again.
Right.
Everything in Jpro is chassis specific. Okay, it's not generic information like some others. Look here, I give you the wiring schematics, and it's with every manufacturer that we cover. Okay, but not only am I going to tell you what wire goes where, and check it out. I mean, there's a bunch of them in here. This is all the engine and after treatment wiring right here,
Wow.
specific to this vehicle.
My technicians will love that.
It's going to save you a lot of money and man hours is what it's going to do. But not only am I going to show you what wire goes where, but I'm going to show you what pin in the connector those wires go to.
Yeah. Good
Then I'm
stuff,
going to
man.
show you what pin on the ECM that connector correlates with. Invaluable, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I mean, now that's all cool, but we haven't even fixed anything yet. So let's fix something. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So just like dealer level software, our troubleshooting task here, our triage tree is step by step on what to do to address this issue. Now, this isn't Norgon telling you this. If you were in Cummins Engine School, this is exactly what Insight would lead you through the process of ascertaining this. And I want you to notice this fault code down here, this 1922,
Mhm.
it's a blanket fault code for the entire after treatment system. Now we know that the whole thing isn't junk. And the first step right here says, well, the underlying condition that could cause this fault could be any number of these 6. So it's imperative that we go through the triage tree step by step. And look, it's intuitive. And what I mean by that is, as you answer these yes or no questions, there are times where Jpro will take you to another component on the truck that's actually causing the issue where the fault is. So instead of taking a fault code, buying a part and throwing it at it, and then that fault goes away and another one pops up, we get down to the root cause.
Perfect. That's gonna
Yes,
save the shop a lot of time.
it's going to save a bunch of time. Now, with these new engines, they're taking all the accessory drives off the front of the engine, moving them to the bell housing. They say it makes the engine run quieter and more efficient. So, all that being said, I give you a locator here because now we don't know where that crank position sensor is, or cam speed sensor, or ambient air temperature sensor. So, if they look pretty professional, it's because it is. This is Cummins. All right. Shows you
Yeah.
where all the major components are, where the sensors are placed. A lot of times I even give you the belt routing, right? Because by the time you see it, the belt's gone and you've got to put a belt that's 4.5 feet long into a space about 12 inches. And the sticker from the manufacturer has been power washed off long ago. So, you guys can look at this and go, oh, that's how that belt runs around that tensioner. Oh, I see. Yeah. So again, for the new stuff that we're not familiar with, we give you a locator so that you can find what it is that you need to replace. Now get this. You can even print all this information out, Rob, from the
Cool.
triage tree, from
Yep.
the to the overview, to the wiring diagrams. So the guy doesn't have to tie up your Jpro. If he needs a wiring diagram, you can simply go in there and print which one off he needs and move right on. Now, I want to show you a couple things over here, Rob. This is brain food. This is an OEM launch portal. So you can actually use Jpro and then use OEM software and launch it from the same computer, same connection, everything. You don't have to go get another scan tool, another laptop to launch your OEM software. Okay. I
So
also want,
so if I want to keep like my Cummins Insight, I can keep it on this program.
yes, you can keep it right here on the same computer as Jpro. And what the software does is it recognizes that software. So if I have Roush on mine, right? I've got
Hmm.
some other things too, like Old Service Max and ACOM Legacy. But the software automatically recognizes that software is downloaded on that computer, and it will give you the ability to launch it right here.
So one of the softwares I have on a separate laptop is Allison Dock. Could I put that on this one?
You could, but really, at this point in our coverage, Allison Dock is something that you wouldn't need to pay for anymore, just like the Bendix that you're paying for. All that software is already on board.
Really?
Yes, sir.
When did that happen?
Oh, well, I've been with Oregon for almost a year and a half now, and the amount of things that they put on it just in that time frame just blows my mind.
Well,
So,
I didn't know that. That's really cool. That's
yeah,
good. That's nice.
just a couple months ago.
All right.
I also want to point out bidirectional. I'll get into it a little deeper, but I want you to notice you're going to see this a lot as we move forward. I give you multiple chances to do the same thing on multiple screens. But obviously, when you're going down through a triage tree, there's oftentimes it's going to say, run this test. And so I give you a quick link to run that test there. Okay?
Okay.
All right. I got to move you so I can close out. I always hit the red X with a circle when you're getting out, because if you hit this one up here and accidentally double click, it'll kick you out of the truck. Okay, so now once we've gone through the triage tree and we know what it is that we need to do. Hang on, I'm resharing. We have this software right here called Next Step Repair. Can you see it okay?
Yep.
So Next Step Repair is really twofold. The first thing I have is symptoms. So I don't have a fault code, but it's doing this. Let's just say, okay, so you open the symptoms, and of course we need to narrow it down. We need to tell the software exactly what component we're working on. Let's just say this truck happens to be using too much DEF fluid, right? And it's putting that chalky stuff on the stack. So we can actually go in here without a fault code, and we can step by step diagnose this problem per Cummins. Again, if you were in Cummins engine school in this case, this is exactly what you would see. Now, anytime you see words in blue, it's a hyperlink. So as you go down through here and you're like, oh, I got to do this leak test. I don't know how to do that. You click on that, it opens another tab, and it gives you what special equipment you need and step by step how to do it. Okay. Once you perform this step, all you got to do is come back up here and hit your next button back. And it takes you back to right where you left off. And you can
Nice.
continue with the triage. Yes, sir.
Looks pretty user
This,
friendly.
this thing right here, Rob, will take a kid that sweeps the floor in your shop and turn him into a technician. Not a mechanic,
I
into a
have a couple of
technician.
those.
Sir,
I have a couple of those.
you do. Well, guess what? Instead of being just great on Cummins, they can be great on Volvo, Detroit, Mercedes. Okay, but let's just for instance here go back. So we had our symptoms, but we have a fault code. We've done our triage tree. We know what component we have to replace, right?
Hmm?
So let's just say we found out we got to replace the EGR cooler. Okay? So you click on the EGR cooler, and what does Next Step Repair do? But it gives you even OE parts that you need to properly do this repair. And then it's step by step on how to perform this procedure. So as you have your Insight, this should look a lot like Insight because it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So that $700 a year you're paying for an Insight, I think we really want to evaluate whether you need to continue to pay for it, because you will have it with the Jpro software. Now, Rob, this is way more than just throwing parts on it. This is complete engine overhaul. Okay, so gear backlash, engine timing, torque specifications, parameter settings, all of that is going to be found right here in Next Step Repair. Pretty cool, huh?
Way cool. Absolutely.
Do you have that ability now, Rob?
No, I don't.
You want that ability?
Yep. It's something definitely something we need.
Yeah, I would think so. All right, so I have to move you around again. Hold on a second. Back into Jpro. Now, the next thing I want to show you, Rob, is the data monitor. Remember all them data points that I told you that Jpro takes a minute and a half to gather?
Yep.
Here they are. Kind of overwhelming, isn't it?
A lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. So I give you the ability to actually break it down into components. Okay, so if you wanted to look at just the engine, Well, you click on that and all the other data that you had goes away. But I also allow you to search. So say I wanted to look at the rail pressure on this truck. 4,800 data points just slipped down to about 9 or 10. Okay. Then I can take these values now that I'm looking at what I want to see, and I can actually make it into a graph and show to the hundredths of a second where this event happened. Whatever it was, that little dip right there. I
Mm-hmm.
can freeze it. I can zoom in. I can print it. I can export it as a log file to share it with someone else. Oh my goodness, do we have all the data? But also, look here. You can also break it down into data groups. So you want to look at the engine oil sensors, or you want to look at the after treatment device, or you have a problem. Now check this out. If I got a truck that's got low power and bad fuel economy, it takes all of the sensors that would have anything to do with that problem and it loads it in here. This gives your guy the ability to just focus on the problem instead of sifting through everything else. Am I saving you money yet, Rob?
Yeah. My wheels are turning, Kim. My wheels are turning.
Well, this is the point in Jpro where I have to be very careful not to give you sensory overload. So if I get too deep in the weeds, just let me know, okay?
Will do.
Okay. Now you can also make your own graph. Okay, so if I went back here to all, I can build because you got a lot of the same trucks in your fleet, right, Rob? And
Yep.
often because they're all the same, you've got a common problem. So if you wanted to look at engine load, throttle position, transmission gear, transmission output, and wheel speed, and you wanted to monitor that data, and you wanted to build your own graph to do that. Now we're talking about 3 different systems on the truck. We can monitor them simultaneously, and you can make your own graph to address that common problem through the fleet. You can
Wow.
make as many as you want. But you know, in Oregon, we like pictures, Rob. You like pictures, don't you?
That looks cool.
Yeah. So I show you here in the power diagram, I show you the battery voltage, what's the battery potential at the ignition switch, and then the different components that are receiving power. But check this out, Rob. You can actually click on the component and then you see your sensor data. So because
Yep.
this is a Cummins, as we know, it's a 5-volt supply. I want to show you something, Rob. You scroll down here a little bit. Uh-oh. Oh, look here. I've got no voltage coming back from 2 sensors. And remember, we've got an after treatment fault. This goes back to that blanket fault code that I was talking about. So we either have a harness issue or we have a sensor issue, but for some reason in this after treatment device, we're not getting any voltage back from this temperature sensor here. Now,
Okay.
if that sensor wasn't there, it would say NA right here, which means there's not one there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
More ways to get right down to the root cause. How about temperatures? Man, it's a wonder they don't put a temperature sensor in the driver's seat nowadays. There's tons of them here. I give them to you to gauge form as a glance, specific and digital below. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these are the temperature senders on that truck. Switch locations. I don't have to keep climbing up and down the stairs to find out if the after treatment system is enabled, whether the brake light is on, cruise is on. It's all going to be here. These are all the switches. It tells us what they are. There's an error here because there's either not one there or actually I would think that there's one there and it's not communicating. We do have an ABS fault too, right?
Yep.
Yep. Status indicators. Now this just tells you what systems on the truck, what status they're in. So, if the dew point's not exceeded in this after treatment dew point thing, it just tells you all the status of the different components that are on the truck. And if you go down through here, it says it's not dosing, and it's going to tell you that the after treatment system, because of that fault, is inhibited, and it's going to tell you what action you need to take. Pressures, again, gauge form for a glance, digital below. We were looking at rail pressure. Right here it is.
Yep.
Excuse me, sir.
I said, yep,
Pretty cool.
yep.
Percentages. So throttle position, some all your like fuel level, def level, engine load, even your automatic transmission service intervals will be listed here in percentages. Electrical. So again, gauge form at a glance. But I have guys that actually will use this as kind of a wiggle test. Say their throttle potentiometer is not working properly, and they have the Jpro right there, and they're wiggling the connector on the back of the fuel pedal. And if that gauge jumps, they know they got a connectivity problem and not throwing a $700 sensor at it, right? Now, Rob,
Yep.
all this down here is brain food. Okay, I want to point out this right here. This tells me what pins in the J1939 are talking. Okay, there's what's communicating to the Jpro. But see this number right here? If you added up these values, this is how much information a second is going between the truck and the Jpro. I
Wow.
want to point that out because we're talking to all these computers over here. When we're done talking, we want to hit disconnect, because anything the fault that we cleared, parameter that we changed, I've never seen it happen, but the IT engineers say that if you don't make all these systems agree that we're done talking, that could come back to haunt you. I just wanted to point that out. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Any questions on data monitor? I know there's a lot there.
That's a busy tab.
Yeah.
A lot of information. I like it.
That's where all the information goes through. But now look, I can actually give you the ability to isolate all that busyness without doing searches and so on and so forth. So as you know, and we talked about, this after treatment issue is a gorilla in the room in your fleet. On my after treatment tab under subsystems, the first thing my engineers do is they give you a checklist. If you've got a problem with this system, you might want to put an eyeball on it. This list does change depending upon manufacturer. Okay. But here, you've never seen an after treatment screen like this one, Rob. Check it out.
Wow.
I tell you right away, are you in D rate? Yes. What regen zone are you in? 5. What indicator lights are on the dash right now? Does it need a regen? Well, yeah. Well, can it? No. Well, why not? Well, Jpro's color coded. So here, down here's your temperatures. Over here's your soot level. See how that just changed right there?
Yep.
It's actually trying to do a regen, but it can't because this thing is so plugged up. But notice how that highlights?
Yep.
I can actually click on that component and monitor that component all by itself. So you'll notice it's color coded, and you also notice that these sensor values are in color over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right there tells you what your problem is. First and foremost, we got to take that filter off, and we got to either replace it, bake it out, blow it out with compressed air, and try and do a forced regen. But you would do right here. I got to move you so I can go back. You can watch your engine performance. Sometimes these trucks, when they're in regen, the coolant temperature gets too hot. Turbo speed's not enough. You can open your SCR, look at your NOx value and your efficiency, but check this out. This is the big monkey here. We all know that 3-in-1 sensor that goes in the DEF tank has been on national back order for about 2 years. Here is why it fails. And we have a huge problem with this in the state of Texas, because the engineers that designed this system put coolant through that tank. So you're putting 195 degree water through urea, which is what DEF fluid is, and it evaporates the moisture out of the DEF fluid, making the urea concentration too high, which makes it crystallize. Once it crystallizes on that sensor, it can no longer detect what the quality of it is, what the level is, so on and so forth. It also, as it gets too high, will cash your pump or block up your filter, or your dozer will have a problem. And it's, these components are $700 to $1,000 each one of them. And again, some of them are on back order. So it's always a good idea to check your urea concentration whenever you connect to a truck and save yourself the headache. Because if we just continue to throw DEF fluid in it, it just gets more stout every time. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Mm-hmm. Notice right here.
Yep.
Keep baiting you with it. We'll get to it. Just hold on. Now, some of my older guys, when you're doing a regen, they want to look at it this way, so they can monitor the values old school. A lot of times, if we have issues, they want to do a graph. Okay, they want to look at the performance of that soot load and NOx values and so on and so forth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just like the monitor and data monitor, here are my sensors that I had picked, and I can go up here and see exactly when whatever happened, hit freeze. Make sense to you?
It sure does.
99% of my guys, when they're doing a regen, this is what they're looking at, because it's the entire system on one screen. It's kind of friendly on the eyes. But again, remember
Yep.
that?
And,
Remember
and
when I had the engine up and I said there's no sensor value coming back?
yep.
Right there it is.
And this is all real time.
Real time. Everything through a J1939 data port is instantaneous data. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Yep.
Now on your OBDs, your light duty stuff, it's going to be updating every 3 seconds. Back into subsystems. This is where I found my regen. Check this out. Rob, the first truck I ever bought, it had a radiator, a reservoir, and a heater core. That was it. Now they run coolant everywhere, to the after treatment device, to the DEF tank, to the turbo. So this screen right here gives your technician a good idea of how that coolant flows throughout the system. But say we had a problem with this turbo actuator, it would actually show a yellow uh, triangle right here with an exclamation point in it. And your guy would go, okay, well, I got to replace the turbo actuator. I don't know how to do that. Look here. Next step, repair. I give you a quick link to dive right into it.
Right.
Multiple ways to do the same thing. My fuel system, again, more complicated than they've ever been before. And the fuel system, though, I give you not only next step repair, but bidirectional. And Rob, when you're into the fuel system, what is one of the big things that you need to do in the fuel system to make sure that everything's working right, so the engine runs right?
Well, we'll make sure the pressure's there.
We're going to want to see the pressures. Probably we're also, if there's a problem in the fuel system, we're going to make sure it's not an injector, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so you go up here to where the injectors are, and that's a quick launch to my cylinder cutout test. Now, Rob, you can take different things over here and actually add them over here of components that you want to monitor, and there's a bunch. You, say you wanted to, look at this, and I want to add it, puts it right over there. Then I hit OK, and here I begin my injector cutout test. All I
Yeah.
got to do is click on the injector and watch the engine performance. But if it's a little difficult to see here, I can just hit the graph, and I can watch the engine's performance as I kill each one of those injectors.
That is just too easy.
This is a quick way to get to it. Oh, I'm also going to show you one more thing in subsystems, the oil system. So this gives your technician the ability to see how the engine oil flows through the engine. But look here, I'll point this out to you. Engine oil filter differential pressure. I've never heard of that, but I know it's in the industry because it's here. So what does that mean? Well, it's not going to be long, and we're going to start monitoring that. There'll be a sensor here, and then there's a sensor here. And what those two sensors are going to do in tandem is they're going to tell me how full of crud this oil filter is. See, with our semi-synthetic and full synthetic oils today, Rob, it's really not about viscosity, it's about debris in the oil.
Hmm.
The time will be coming soon where we're going to spin a new oil filter on here and we're going to replace the oil that we lost. You can thank Union Pacific Railroad in this. They had a big hand, I think, in it because those rail trucks, once they leave the yard, they never shut them off. They could be idling in a hotel parking lot. They could be driving down the road, or they could be in an idle state working on the rail. Each
Mm-hmm.
one of those scenarios is a different demand on the engine. So they can't change the oil by mileage. They can't change it by date. They can't even change it by engine hours. They have to know what debris is in the oil. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. I baited you and baited you and baited you. So here's bidirectional. This is all the resets and tests and calibrations that you can do with Jpro. And so when we replace that filter, we're going to have to reset. We've done something manually, so we have to tell the computer what we've done, right?
Right.
So here's all your tests, and these change depending upon manufacturer and the year of the vehicle. The newer the vehicle, the more bidirectional you're going to have. But Rob, have you ever heard of a wiggle test?
No.
Well, let me show you what it is. Okay, so here's what you do is you pick, say you would perform a wiggle test if you think you're having a wiring issue, okay? Whether it be in a connector or a sensor itself. So what you do is you pick where the problem is or what problem it is. So let's use that low power, bad fuel economy again, and then we hit next. Now these are all the sensors again that have to do with this problem, but Jpro also tells you that, hey, you've got some related faults here that might have something to do with your complaint. The first thing you do is hit start, and you'll notice that the clock starts running.
Yep.
Now you go and you start wiggling wires, okay? And if there's a variation, it highlights that in red, so you know exactly where the problem is. So as it is now, if we got a wiring problem on a truck and it's sitting here in the bay, we can check the harness and wires for continuity. But we can't simulate what happens when we're going down the road. That's why we go wiggle wires and sensor connections, so on and so forth. Now, this is a fuel rate, okay, because I'm not actually physically wiggling wires on this truck, but it does do a good job of illustrating the point. Your guy can find the problem right quick. It tells you exactly where it is.
So you got this up and running. This is sitting on the workbench
Hmm?
running, and you're just going around the motor, just wiggling wires, and you come back and look at this and see which one got highlighted.
That's right. Because whatever value that sensor is gathering information on, whatever, if there was a variation in whatever value it was, it's going to highlight that line in red and say, hey, there was an issue. Something changed right here.
That is really cool, Ken. I'm glad you showed me that.
Invaluable information, huh?
Yep.
You also have bidirectional in the brake system. Now, if this was a Bendix brake system, this list would be as long as the engine and maybe more. But Wabco is a pretty basic brake system. I mean, they're trying the newer Wabco stuff. They're starting to get into radars and stuff like that. But as you can see, you can do kerf valve test and, you can wheel speed chart and another wiggle test. This is probably the only place where your Jpro is going to get into the chassis harness. Okay?
Hmm.
Because once that truck goes down the assembly line, there's no telling. Is it a fire truck, box truck, school bus? Don't know, right? But they all have these. And so we can actually ascertain whether we have a chassis harness issue here. Any questions on bidirectional, Rob?
Pretty simple stuff, man. I'm liking it.
Can you see where maybe it would give you some capability that you don't have right now?
Oh, absolutely. I'm just thinking about some of the mobile techs I bring in that my guys can't perform, and this will do that for me, for them. I see this as being a cost savings already.
Well, good. I'm not quite done yet. You want more? You want more? Or you just want to give me your credit card now?
Well, show me what else you got.
Okay. Well, look at this, Rob. I'm not going to give you a tool and not train you how to use it. So under the graduation cap here, you get the Jpro Educational Resources. This link right here is going to take you straight to Norgon's website where you're going to have those training videos, processes, and procedures, right? But look here. I also give you free OEM training. So your guys out there in the shop, you can assign them training and say, hey, man, I want you to go through this Allison training. I think we need a deeper understanding of how that transmission works. Now, I still have a truck up in Indiana, Rob, and it's a farm truck. Dad said it needed a wheel bearing. So I called the parts house and told the kid I need a set 403 wheel bearing set. He said, we don't carry that part number anymore. I said, well, they sure as heck didn't quit making it. It's the most popular wheel bearing on the road. So I got mad. And I took this Timken training, and within the first 5 minutes, I found out Stemco bought Timken and changed all the bearing numbers. Brilliant, right? Right. But after an hour and 20 minutes of training, I could take any bearing, 5 measurements and a roller count, and I could tell you what it's for. The filter guys, Baldwin especially, I mean, but you have Wicks too. Baldwin, if you've got that filter laying around and don't know what the heck it's for, you can go to Baldwin's site. Doesn't matter whose filter it is, type the filter number in, and it's going to tell you the most common use for that filter in North America.
Cool.
And it also educates you on different microns. Very important when we're talking about oils and fuel water separator filters. They're not all the same. So all that education is free, Rob. It comes
Okay.
on board. All you guys got to do is register for it. Fill out a registration, create an account, and yeah, you can do it at any time. So you remember how I told you that Jpro automatically asked for a unit number, right?
Right.
So up here under the application setting, here's how you change your display. Now, if you're not connected to a truck like I am now, you can actually make Jpro si habla español for those guys in the shop that are the newcomers to the world here, the
All
new
right.
world.
All right.
Okay. So you can also in your fleet, do you want that unit number to pop up? Do you want Jpro to launch when you turn the computer on? You can do all that here. And
Okay.
also in your PMs, this is where I told you could put your company logo on it.
All right.
So your PMs and your vehicle inspection report, you can load your logo here. One other thing I want to show you is registration. So this tells me who the end user is. It's imperative that it's the guy closely. It can't be some IT guy in another state because more and more Norgon has to communicate with the end user. We got to send them like repair documents and PDFs and things of that nature. But when we do an update, it's going to lock this out. This your subscription will say inactive, it'll say not registered, and you're going to be calling me going, oh man, Ken, my I thought I paid for this for a year. Well, you did. Here's the thing, Rob. Jpro does so much that sadly, oftentimes they grow legs. In other words, the guy gets bowed up and then decides he doesn't want to work for you anymore. And the next thing you know, your Jpro's gone. I can't do anything about the hardware, but I can make sure he's not making a living off of your dime. Okay, so here I'm going to show you what to do. You hit update registration. When you hit update registration, the system is automatically going to pop up a box right here and it's going to say, please enter confirmation code. This is me protecting you and making sure that the same person that it's registered to is getting that confirmation code. So if the guy leaves, you're going to fire him, shut his email off. It's not going to go to him. Right?
Right.
So we need to make sure that this information right here is actually the guy in charge. If the guy left, you shut his email off, a quick call to Norgon will get you that confirmation code, okay?
Cool.
All right. One other thing that you get with Jpro for free, hang on, I got to change things here again. Oh no, that is not what I was after. Hold on just a second, Rob.
All right.
Teams, you know, it's a lot of fun. Here we go. One other thing that comes free with your Norgon Jpro subscription is something called Next Step Net. Now, Rob, have you ever had a driver call in and say, hey, Rob, this fault code just popped up on the dash and I don't know what it's for?
Weekly.
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 Well, I'm going to give you the ability to actually diagnose that truck from your office right there, or at least get an idea of the direction you need to go. You want me to show
Okay.
you how?
Yeah.
So you come up here and you hit view faults. And it's going to take it a second. And then what you do is you fill in the blanks. So is it a brake problem? Is it an engine problem? Is it a transmission problem? So here's all the different manufacturers. Let's just stick with that Cummins, all right, Rob? The one in the 14 Freightliner we're working on.
Yeah, Ken, it didn't change screens again.
Oh, it didn't? Hang
No.
on a second. Let me try it again. How about now?
It's the same screen. Let's see if the drop down's working. Well, now, yeah, now it's showing a Cummins ISX 15L. Okay, we're good.
Okay. So now, Rob, what you can do is you can either put the fault code in here, or you can put the problem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say we got an after treatment issue and we hit search. Now this is going to give you every fault code that would have to do with the after treatment system. So what you do is you start reading down through here and oh, you know what? This kind of sounds like what I got going on. You come over here, you view faults, and you're right back in to fault guidance. So you can be sitting at home eating Cheetos on your couch, and you can actually diagnose this truck by what the driver's telling you. And you can give this to your mobile tech. He's going to have the wiring, he's going to have the troubleshooting step by step on what to do.
Awesome.
Isn't that pretty cool, ain't it?
Yep, that's awesome.
Hey, and I give that to you for free. Isn't that great? It comes with it.
Yeah, there's nothing free in this world, Ken.
Well, okay. So I just include it in your software
There
package.
you go. There you go.
Hey, one of the last things, help. We're talking about computers and software, and I don't know about you, but I'm no IT engineer. Just couldn't do it. So over here on the help button, here's where in application settings you can do it, but you can also do it in the help button is register a new DLA adapter, put the driver on. You can get back into the user's guide. So if you're here and I don't know if I can do that, you can always reference it here. I always like to say, if we've got this far and you don't know anything about Jpro, I don't know. I don't know. Here's what's new again. The news and insights is pretty cool because there's people all around the country that are using this and that helpful little hints and things like that. But the most important part is this right here. So this sticker on this computer is your lifeline. Okay. You got a problem. Jpro's not doing what you think it should. You get on my IT support desk line. Our average hold time last year was 83 seconds, Rob. Now,
Hmm.
my IT people are based in North Carolina. So there's a room full of folks sitting in North Carolina. Now, Rob, you've called the number on the back of your credit card before, right?
Oh God, yeah, I know where you're going. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. 45 minutes talking to a computer. You finally get somebody breathing on the phone. He says his name's Mark. You know dang well his name ain't Mark because you can't understand a word he's saying.
Right.
Yeah. So US based tech support is imperative. But check this out.
That's
You
awesome.
can you can actually allow that IT technician to remote into the JPro and see what you see. So instead of things getting lost in verbiage, our people can look at it for you, but you got to give them permission.
So they'll remote into my laptop and get in there and fix it for me.
Exactly.
And what's the charge on that?
Comes well, since you said nothing's free, I guess I'm gonna have to say it's just included in the package. No, it's customer service in Oregon is one of the number one priorities we have.
Awesome.
Great tool and customer service. That's why they put guys like me out here in the field. So I also want to mention one other line of service that is not included. Okay, we have a service called TAS. It stands for Technician as a Service. So what TAS gives you is an ASE certified technician in everything that Jpro covers. Now it's not like one guy, oh, I'm certified in all of it. Now there's another room full of people that are ASE certified in our coverage. You can also, and they will ask you if you have the service to allow them in. And what they'll do is they'll start taking information from the data monitor. They may run a bi-directional test. So what I'm giving you is an ASE certified technician to partner with your guy in the shop to assist you getting it fixed. Unlimited access.
What are their hours?
Well, right now our hours are 7 to 7 Eastern. We're looking at expanding it, but right now that's where it's at. We have a pretty high demand to go to the second shift level, and we're doing our best to get there.
Okay.
Now, Rob, this is one license key for your whole shop, so it doesn't mean that you know it's only assigned to one guy. So you got 5 guys out there. Any one of them can call. And look here, this is how TAS works. So we partner with you. We get some information. We help you get to the point of we know what's going on and how to fix it. But occasionally, we don't know. Then we can't know everything. So what we do then is we take the data that we gathered and we reach out to the OEM engineers
Hmm.
and they have a look at it and then they send us a repair procedure that we then email to you. That's why the end user information is so imperative, because if TAS has to send your guy a list of what to do, it's going to have to go at least to you,
Yeah.
so it's the guy out there.
All right.
So
That,
pretty much
so,
in a nutshell, Rob, that's JPro.
all right. The Taz, it sounds like something I'd be interested in as well. So, Ken, let's do this. It's a 20 base shop. I've got 10 technicians.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're using a lot of OE software, and um, I do want to cut down that expense and give them more coverage that this shows. So, if you would just work me up a quote, send it over to me for two complete kits, including that Taz, and I'll get my office on it, and we'll cut you a check sometime next week and get those on order.
Sounds like a fabulous deal, Rob. It was my pleasure coming in. I want to partner with you. Norgon wants to partner with you to not only make your job and your guys in the shop more efficient, but the quality of work and a peace of mind, knowing that you have a tool that is way more than a scan tool. It's going to
Right.
be an educational device too. So I really appreciate you having me in today, Rob.
Well, Ken, I want to share this with you as well. I want to tell you how much I appreciate you. I've had your competitors in here as I'm looking at everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've done the best presentation. I've had Jaw Test in here. I've had Tex in here. I've had Bosch in here. Snap on in here. No one showed me a tool like this and what it can do to that detail. So I appreciate you with your knowledge.
No problem, Robin. Me being assigned to the territory, When you bring new guys in, you can always give me a call and I'll come back and I'll train them. That's the beauty of doing business with Norgon. You have excellent support.
Well, again, thank you so much. Thanks,
Yes,
Ken.
sir. Thank you. Great seeing you, Rob.